Hello everybody, today we're here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. A common question simmers like to ask is whether or not the sim helps you fly a plane in real life. And today we're going to test that out, specifically showing how it helps me prep for real life flights. I have a flight planned this Friday that I'm going to do for real, and we're going to put that flight through its paces in the sim to see what we can learn from it and better prepare for it. Should be awesome, so let's hop into the pilot seat and get started. Okay, we're here in the C-152 at Whiskey Bravo Whiskey, my home field. And we've got all of our switches off, the parking brake is set, our car beats in, throttle idle, mixture to idle cutoff, trims set to takeoff. We'll rotate the fuel selector to the on position. We'll turn on the battery and the alternator with the beacon. We've got fuel quantity, a little bit more than half a tank. I'll talk about that when we do the detailed flight brief. We've checked that the prop area is clear and called clear prop. Next we'll head down here, prime it 1, 2, 3 strokes of the primer. Put our feet on the brakes, keys in the ignition, rotate it over. And we've got ignition. Alright, we do have oil pressure. You see that came up into the green. We'll adjust our RPMs down to 1,000 RPMs. Next, we will lean the mixture for ground operations. Next, we'll get our avionics on. So we'll turn on the transponder to standby. We'll turn COM 1 and COM 2 on. And I like that the course deviation indicators go through the little calibration. We'll close up the window. It's a little bit noisy. Latch that. Look up at our compass, check the heading on the compass down to the directional gyro, and we'll calibrate the gyro to the compass. There's a bunch of more setup things to do after this, like getting the weather and setting the altimeter up, but we're going to skip ahead of those because it's a longer video and go right to taxi, which is where I will take you through a very detailed flight brief for how we're going to plan out this flight. Alright, as we get ready to taxi, I'll turn on the taxi and the landing light. And then we'll make our CTAF call. Wyoming Valley traffic says no 565 Whiskey, taxi from the ramp to runway 25, hold short, Wyoming Valley. And as we start moving, I will test my brakes. They work. And next, as we taxi and do our run-up, I'll open up for flight and take you through the flight brief. So we're doing a scenic flight around Wyoming Valley. If we open up the weather for Friday, future weather looks like 3 knots. VFR weather looks promising. I like to use the Windy app, so if we switch over to the Windy app and look at Friday at 8 a.m., you can see it's 3 to 4 knots, gusting 11 based on the model, and coming from the southwest, which means we'll probably be on runway 25 on Friday, which is actually ideal for our flight path. To pick our cruise altitude, we'll look at the maximum elevation figure in each tile. That's these bold numbers. That's 3,000 and 3,100, so that's the tallest thing to fly over. We also have some obstructions here, which are mountains at 2,400. We've got some wind turbines at 2,851, and some more mountains to cross at 1,779. So we're going to fly at least 3,500 to remain clear of everything. When flying east, it's an odd altitude, plus 500, so we'll pick 3,500. Flying west, it's an even altitude, plus 500, that's 4,500. When we come back to the valley, we'll arrive at 2,500 in the valley, descend to 2,000 over the city, and then end up at 1,500, which is traffic pattern altitude at Whiskey Bravo Whiskey. So that's a plan for each segment. Next, we'll clear out these annotations and look at our time. So ForeFlight does all of this math for you. It'll calculate how long each leg will take, how much fuel you'll burn, and down to the minute, an estimated time en route. So we have the plane booked at 8 a.m. Realistically, 8:20 is when we'll get off once we do the pre-flight. The first leg is about 10 minutes, so that's 8:30. As we arrive at Keystone, you've got another 6 minutes, so it's 8:36. So I can do this for each leg and make sure that it fits within the 90-minute time slot that I have allotted, and I can use that as a go, no-go decision to continue on with the flight or just head back to the airport in the event that I end up running behind and trying to play catch up. For fuel burn, ForeFlight calculates 6.1 gallons. There's another 1.1 gallons used on the ground. That's 7.2 gallons. And then you need at least 30 minutes for day VFR. That's 5 gallons. So that equals 12.2 gallons. The aircraft that I'll be flying holds 38 gallons, so that's about 43% if you do the math. Make it easy, 50%, so I won't take off with less than half a tank of gas. I'll ask them to add gas to it if the fuel gauge reads less than a half when I turn it on when I first hop into the plane. Now the last thing to talk is airspace. So we do have some airspace to deal with. Wilkes-Barre Scranton is a class Delta that goes up to 3,500, and it's also in a Tersa, which surrounds it. If we drop a ruler here, you can see it's only about 2 miles from Whiskey Bravo Whiskey to the beginning of the Delta. We can't climb above 3,500 in 2 miles, so I'm going to ask for a Class Delta transition as we climb up to 3,500, doing our Scranton sightseeing. Speaking of sightseeing, I'll open up the satellite view and show you what we're trying to accomplish with this flight. So this is a sightseeing flight up the valley. We're going to fly right down the middle of the valley through the Delta to do a little bit of touring of Scranton. We will head to the intersection of Route 81 and 11, then cross the mountains here at this low point gap, overfly Clark Summit, which is very picturesque, and make our way to Keystone College and Observatory. Just to the northeast of that is Siemens Field, which is where I did my first flight as a private pilot. You probably saw that video on this channel. We'll make our way to Lake Carey, then from there to the Procter & Gamble Mashopin warehouse, which is huge, and the plant, which is over a mile long. Follow our way along the Susquehanna back to Skyhaven Airport, 76 November. Then we're going to follow Route 29 between the mountains, do a picturesque flyby of these wind turbines, then follow Route 309 to Dallas. We'll go by the Huntsville Reservoir, cross the mountains back to the valley, arrive at Wyoming Valley West High School as a nice reference point, and then follow the Susquehanna River to the Market Street Bridge, and then come in on a 45 degree to runway 25 for Whiskey Bravo Whiskey. And that wrap up is perfect timing because we're just lining up here on the numbers of 25 for our departure. Wyoming Valley traffic says in a 565 Whiskey departing runway 25, we'll be doing a left downwind departure to the east, climbing to 3,500 Wyoming Valley. All right. Game on, everything's set up. We go full power. And today we're flying the C-152. This is the JP Logistics mod, and I like this because it has similar performance to the Skyhawk M's that I fly. I fly a 172M out of Whiskey Bravo Whiskey. The 152 is a little bit slower than the 172M, but I'd rather err on the side of taking more time because I know if this entire flight fits into the time allotted with the 152, it'll work for the 172. So we're turning left crosswind here, and then we're going to turn left downwind. I'm going to stay on CTAF here while we're in the downwind, and remember, we only have 2 miles from the end of the airport to the beginning of the Delta. The trick here is waiting till I'm clear of the pattern before switching off of CTAF to AVP Tower. Wilkes-Barre Tower says in a 565 Whiskey just off Wyoming Valley at 2,700 would like to transition the Delta to the east, climbing to 3,500.
That's the 565 Whiskey Wilkes-Barre Tower. You are cleared to transition the Delta to the northeast. Climb and maintain 3,500 feet.
Cleared to transition the Delta, climb and maintain 3,500, says in a 565 Whiskey. Alright, we're on track, so I'm going to keep quiet and let you enjoy that awesome flight simulator scenery. Alright, what's really cool about doing this is it helps me visually rehearse for what I'm doing, but I also learn things. For example, I learned that I want to change one segment of the plan. In the original plan, there's a zigzag here from Procter & Gamble to Tunkhannock back to Route 29 to Dallas, and when I flew that I could see that there's no good places to put down the aircraft if I have an engine failure because it's completely mountainous. So if I make a tweak to the plan by heading to Route 29 and then going direct to Dallas, that will get me over the mountain very quickly, and then it will be all fields to the south. So that makes me feel much more comfortable. Fields, brief mountain crossing, more fields, it's a much safer route to fly. So I learned something. Plus it knocked a couple of miles off and saved me some time. So if I go to flights, I can save my flight. And now it's good to go, so I can use that on Friday and do my flight brief with it. So I hope you enjoy realistic general aviation content like this. If you do, be sure to click that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, as always, for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.